From seeing a second-round knockout win for the Notorious, to the Irishman's USADA war delaying his comeback bout, Dustin Poirier predicts the McGregor versus Chandler match. As it turns out, Poirier sees a stoppage win for the Irishman. Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler are ready to lock horns in the final quarter of 2023, and it's making all the buzz in the fighting world. UFC pros are sharing their take on the upcoming bout. And if there's someone who knows a thing or two about these rivals, it's the man himself, Poirier. The Diamond was the most recent opponent for both men, so he sure knows what they're up against. While talking to Ariel Helwani on the MMA Hour, the athlete said, "If Conor is who he was before the injury and stuff, I think the fight's over in 2 rounds." The Louisiana native then went on about how Conor's rhythm and timing were perfect, before his 2-year-long layoff. According to Poirier, if he's anything like he was when he went against him, McGregor will easily bag a stoppage win. But you don't know if the Irishman is still all that in the octagon. It's been a while since we've seen him put on a performance in the cage, and that's all thanks to the almost career-ending leg injury he suffered in his trilogy fight with Poirier. Yeah, this will be Mystic Mac's first fight after taking a 2-year-long break. The summer of 2021 was definitely not the summer of McGregor's dreams. He locked horns with the Diamond at UFC 264 and crumpled his leg with only seconds remaining in the opening round. This almost ruined the Irishman's entire UFC career and left fans absolutely devastated. He ended up with several injuries after staying away from the cage for nearly 2 years, and now he's finally ready to return. It's safe to say that fans have missed the Irishman in the octagon. Conor's only fought 4 fights since 2016, and he won only 1 of them. So fans don't really have a lot to work with when predicting the results of this upcoming bout. I guess I'll stick to Poirier's words. The Diamond defeated Mystic Mac twice in 2021, and he went face-to-face with Chandler too in 2022. And yes, he came through and won via submission. So when it comes to beating Poirier, it's safe to say Chandler and McGregor both have little to no luck. He's clearly the better fighter between the 3, or at least according to the stats he is. So when the upcoming bout was announced in early 2023, he made sure to drop a little reaction. Michael and Conor aren't only facing each other in the octagon this year, they both collided on the UFC's The Ultimate Fighter. The Irishman had been waiting for his return to the fighting promotion for way too long. So when Dana White threw a coaching role at him, McGregor took it. He just wants to be back in the game. I mean, whatever brings him closer to the octagon, right? Chandler's also a head coach on the reality TV show. Both fighters will coach their respective teams, who'll go against one another in a tournament-style competition. UFC President White announced the head coaches as upcoming opponents for McGregor's comeback bout. It was a smart way to hype up the show even more. The Irishman's return to the octagon is highly anticipated by millions, and the reality show is like the cherry on top. Because let me tell you, things get heated between the upcoming rivals. Physical altercations included. And then, McGregor isn't one to hold back at all. So the fans will get to see him threaten to break Chandler's nose and all that. McGregor's return to the octagon is the current hot topic in the UFC, and it's sparking so much interest that this season of The Ultimate Fighter will also be premiered on ESPN's primary channel, and not only through their ESPN Plus platform. Many UFC pros are coming in with their opinions and choosing faves. Bantamweight star Sean O'Malley is Team McGregor. As one of the most controversial fighters in the UFC, McGregor surprisingly has a lot of people rooting for him. I mean, all his shenanigans aside, there's no denying that Mystic Mac is one of the best fighters in the UFC. He's definitely one to watch, and O'Malley knows it all too well. Suga's always been a fan of McGregor, so when it came to choosing a favorite for the upcoming bout in a recent interview, Sean leaned toward the Irishman in a heartbeat. But this doesn't mean he has hard feelings for the former Bellator champion. He said, "I do like Michael Chandler, but I am a die-hard Conor fan." The UFC star then went on about how Conor doesn't seem too serious about his upcoming fight. Well, that's McGregor for you. That guy is never serious about stuff. But that doesn't mean he can't go out there and still get the job done. It's Conor McGregor. Plus, a guy shouldn't be taken lightly when his biggest foe is choosing him. Yup, I'm talking about Stockton's finest, who believes the Irishman has an easy win. You probably live under a rock if you don't know about the rivalry between Conor McGregor and Nate Diaz. Diaz was the man who slammed the brakes on Conor's hype train. And as the first person to ever win against the Irishman, he sure knows what he's talking about. The former UFC star made an appearance on MMA Junkie, where he shared his take on the upcoming bout. The athlete said, "Chandler's really tough and explosive and a crazy young guy. I don't know how old he is." But Diaz is rooting for his foe because he simply believes he's the better fighter. Now, he did say that Michael was great too. But Conor's taking the win this time. Diaz knows what it takes to beat the double champion, and Chandler doesn't have what it takes. Diaz himself is preparing for his first venture outside the UFC. Yup, he's taking on boxing against the one and only Jake Paul. Fights with Paul talk big money, so I guess the Stockton native is running short on dollar bills. He's also finding himself on the wrong side of the law a lot lately. When he's not in camp for his upcoming bout, he's busy brawling on the streets of New Orleans. But once he's done with the YouTuber turned boxer, he wants to have a trilogy fight with McGregor, and fans know that'll definitely be a fight worth tuning in for. McGregor versus Diaz never disappoints. And since both of them have 1-1 against each other, it's time to settle the score once and for all. Diaz needs to make sure he doesn't lose to Paul, because I don't know about you, but I don't think McGregor would want to step into the cage with someone who lost to a former Disney star. And as for the Irishman, he needs to win his comeback fight to tell the world that he's still all that. Because, yeah, a lot of people are rooting for him, but Michael's got his fair share of supporters too. Take it from the UFC legend, Michael Bisping, who's giving the edge to Chandler. Now don't get him wrong, Bisping's aware of Conor's skills in the octagon, but the middleweight's worried that he might not be the older version of himself. Plus, history has seen many fighters losing their form after coming back from gruesome injuries similar to McGregor's. Unlike the Irishman, Chandler has been an active fighter. He fought 2 bouts last year in 2022, and even defeated Tony Ferguson via knockout. Can't forget that one, can we? But Bisping is still not discounting Conor. He has a history of defying the odds, so what makes us think he can't do it again? Plus, he wanted to be the first person to hold titles in 3 divisions. So if he still plans on doing that, he needs a title shot at the welterweight gold. Chandler is a top-rated fighter, so if McGregor can finish him off, a title fight won't be too far from him. There's no confirmed date for the upcoming hyped bout, but it looks like the fighters will face each other in December 2023. There are just a few other things McGregor needs to deal with first. You know, like the Irishman joining USADA's drug testing pool. This has been the only roadblock for McGregor's return to the octagon. Every UFC fighter needs to be in USADA's testing pool for at least 6 months before stepping into the cage. And one thing about the anti-doping agency is that it doesn't make exceptions for anyone, not even McGregor. So when the UFC star called out the agency for speeding things up, they put him in his place by refusing any special treatment. And then there was this whole thing where everyone accused McGregor of being on steroids. It only alerted USADA more. It looks like the bad blood between the agency and the athlete is dying down, so fans are expecting the Irishman to join the testing pool soon, to get ready for his bout in December 2023. So from Conor's USADA war delaying his comeback bout, to the Diamond seeing a second-round knockout win for the Irishman. This was all for Dustin Poirier predicting McGregor versus Chandler.